farmer's daughter. Take one. I need to be famous, Wayne. All the best people are.
There ain't nobody else out there like you.
You know why?
Why?
Because you got that X Factor. Our days of struggling may soon be over.
Hollywood, here we come.
So this is it. Our own studio backlot.
You looking for a place to stay?
Oh, yes, sir.
That's one ugly son of a bitch.
And my wife, Pearl, is next door. So I would appreciate a little discretion.
He don't know what we're doing, does he?
Well, it's better to beg for forgiveness than ask for permission.
Would you like to come inside?
Much obliged.
I want to be in the movie.
Well, you can't. The story can't just change midway through.
If Daddy catches us, there's no telling what he might do.
My wife is not well. It happens after dark.
Maxine? You don't want to leave, do you?
People's eyes are gonna pop out of their damn skulls when they see this.
What? Are you all right?
No.
One of the boys found this inside.
What do you think is on it?
I see one goddamn fucked up horror picture.
Holy fudge, we are back with yet another edition of Grindhouse Chic. As always, I am Robert Schneider, and I am joined by Brian Baldwin and Matt Armstrong. Guys, how are you doing today?
Fantastic. How are you guys?
I am good. I am getting ready for what will be the roughest week of April thus far. And
Yeah.
Matt, I understand that you had your wisdom teeth pulled.
I did. As a 40-year-old man, it was rough.
Did you cry?
No, I was fully asleep. I had the IV. They put me under, and then came out of it and just got up and left. Wasn't too bad.
Did someone draw a penis on your forehead while you were passed out? And
No,
was that person your wife?
Not. I would have approved of it if she would have.
It would have been funny. It would have been funny
Yeah.
because we would have mocked you, and we should have told her to do that before you had your wisdom teeth pulled. But
Apparently, when I had mine taken out, like the nurses and stuff, whenever I came back to and everything after the surgery, they were laughing and they're like, "You are so weird," or something like that. I can't remember exactly how they phrased it. I'm like, "What?" And they're like, "Well, we're talking about like a party that we're going to while you were under." And they were like, "With you completely dead to the world, you just out of nowhere said, 'Oh fuck yeah,'" like, so apparently, I wanted to party with these girls. I don't know.
So you didn't go to the party, is what you're telling us?
Yeah. Wasn't invited. Come to find out.
Well,
Yeah.
technically, you invited yourself.
And that's the most important kind of an invite, right?
That's the most important one.
The most precious one.
But before we get into the movie we're talking about this week, if you were invited to shoot a porno in the middle of BFE, Texas, would you or would you not go?
Like where I am now in life, or just in general? Because in the past time, absolutely. Yeah. Live on the edge,
Yeah. I think it would depend if it was nowadays or the 70s also.
Nowadays, you don't have to leave your house. Nowadays, you don't have to leave your house to go shoot a porno. You can shoot it from your living room, and then your millions of OnlyFans fans, assuming that you were a hot woman between the ages of 18 and 35. You don't even have to be a beautiful woman. As long as you're a woman or a guy who has the gumption to put things out on OnlyFans, you'll be making a lot more money than what these people would have made back in 1979. Because today we are talking about the movie X. And we're going to give it a Vinegar Syndrome spin by talking about other adult films released in 1979 that Vinegar Syndrome released, and maybe figure out which one would pair well with the unreleased Farmer's Daughter, which is the movie they were filming in X. Not to be confused with the real Farmer's Daughter, which was released by Synapse and stars Spalding Gray, the famous monologuist essayist. Wow, we
Not aware of that.
I have done research for today's show up to a point. I did partial research for today's show.
Nice.
Kind of messes with our rhythm, though, right?
What research?
We're not supposed to know what we're talking about.
I am like many people on YouTube who talk about movies. We have to make ourselves seem like we are experts. Otherwise, no one's going to watch us for our non-expertise views of film. Even though no one who does videos like this is a qualified film expert. We're just guys who watched way too many movies growing up and read too much Fangoria. So let's talk about Ty West's X, which I'm just going to say, weirdly enough, is also the beginning of a film franchise. And if someone told me in 2020 if I would watch a film franchise about a killer old woman and her dim-witted husband, I would have said, no, that's not going to happen. But let's give the plot. So the plot is a bunch of people from Houston are going out in the middle of nowhere, Texas, to shoot a porno called The Farmer's Daughter. They think they're going to get rich, but in the end, most of them end up dead in some pretty gruesome deaths.
I would just add that, they're going there to shoot this porno, but they soon find out that they're not the horniest people on this farm.
Would you say the old woman was horny, or would you say she was jealous that these people were so free?
I think both.
Yeah, maybe both. Yeah.
Right. This movie touches a lot of both of those angles, So,
but they left enough of Pearl's backstory blank because I think they knew they were going to be shooting this prequel at the same time, even though Ty West said he wrote it while in quarantine with Mia Goth. I don't know. That was my biggest problem with the movie is I didn't know the old woman's motivation of why she was doing this. There were little bits here and there. Oh, she was a dancer. She didn't get to fulfill her dreams. And judging by the after credits sequence, it felt like, all right, she had lived in a repressed home. It seemed like all of this started out as vengeance against the person she was taking care of. But all of that should have been in the actual movie. And if it was, I might have missed it. But
well, the first my first thought whenever her character is beginning to become revealed a little bit more is I felt like a lot of like sympathy for her and like sadness, because the way it's shot and the way it's done, I think is really it's really interesting to me because you've got this woman in this like these crazy prosthetics and you are able to sympathize with her because she's you see her with her husband and she's like she's seen these sexy young people on her land now and everything, and it's kind of she wants to come on to her husband who feels like he can't make advances on her because he has a bad heart and stuff, and then you have that terrible, heartbreaking scene where, you know, Kid Cudi's playing Landslide and Brittany Snow's singing it, and then it's like showing her wipe this makeup off and stuff, almost like she's just so defeated. Like, I'm not young anymore. I'm not pretty anymore. I'm not wanted anymore. I found it to be really touching, actually. I mean, of course, all that changes, you know, but whenever we were first getting into her, that was my initial thing. Was like, damn, I want to hug that lady.
But she was so homicidal because when we got into the basement, we saw the guy chained up there, and it was somebody else that we hadn't seen before. So obviously, as soon as you come on that property, you're dead.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I didn't have the motivation of why she was doing it, and I don't think a sequel prequel is the way to do that. There should all, like, with Jason Voorhees or Michael Myers, even though we had every bit of information on both of those characters pretty much from moment one. We just got, hey, don't disturb my wife at the beginning. And then lo and behold, they go and disturb the wife.
I feel like the little, you know, prequel tease kind of like muddied the water for me a little bit for Pearl, because, you know, maybe I missed something too. Sorry, it's like so hard to talk. Maybe I missed something too, but it's like, you know, throughout the movie, it kind of just seemed like this is something that happened to Pearl once she got old. You know, she started feeling lonely, disconnected from her husband. I can't think of his name, but the prequel kind of makes it seem like, you know, this is like a lifelong thing, kind of.
Which on the other end of that, there's some. Well, I guess I should start off by saying I, for one, am excited for the prequel, if for no other reason, just because I love this movie so much and I kind of want to see more of it. But, you know, like, let's take a scene. You know, there's a killer alligator in this movie, which I absolutely loved. I know a lot of people were like, that was stupid. But what I was going to mention with the prequel, you know, it makes sense of like why this alligator just lurks around this dock and eats people, because she's been fucking shoving people off of it for years. So that one got some pretty fun reactions in the theater. It was kind of like a mixed bag. There were several of us that were like, fuck yeah. And there was also several that were, you know, just. Do you guys think that was kind of a nod to Eaten Alive? Because there's clearly a lot of Toby Hooper and you know, Texas Chainsaw influence on this one.
Oh yeah. I mean, this movie was an homage to both. This movie was an homage to Toby Hooper.
Yeah.
And it was,
which is probably another reason why I like it so much. It's a great style, or has a great style to it, I think.
I was a little bit I easily recognized that the old woman and the old man were in heavy prosthetics. And then it took me a few minutes to realize that Mia Goth was in both roles.
Mm-hmm.
And
I still have to admit, I can call me dumb, whatever. I've seen it twice. I can't see it when I look at the old lady. I don't see it. Like, when I found that out, I was astonished. I was like, what?
It's the eyes, because Mia Goth has some she has a pretty distinctive face. It was the eyes that gave it away. But she was great in the two roles, and the only time I had to suspend my disbelief was when they were in the sitting at the table together.
With the lemonade.
Yeah. But I did think it was nice when the husband came in, also heavy in prosthetics, when he realized that someone else was in there, and he realized, oh fuck, we're gonna be killing.
Here we go again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which makes him
go ahead.
very, you know, he's an accomplice, but is he one that really wants to be an accomplice? Though it did seem like he got hard doing it and ended up having sex with her.
Yeah.
Well, do you think we're going to get, hopefully we'll get some clarity for that too in the prequel, you know, get to see like how they became, you know, a couple and all that, and how all this started.
Yeah. I'm interested in seeing that, and which makes it smart then if you're filming two movies in different time periods that actors are in prosthetics. I wish it was better prosthetics, but I was pretty amazed how they turned New Zealand into Texas.
Right?
Oh, that was New Zealand?
Yeah, I was shocked too. They
Hmm.
filmed
Oh,
both
wow.
movies in New Zealand,
Huh. Yeah, that just looked like some rundown Texas area, pretty much.
which makes me
Pretty much.
wonder: do they have rednecks in New Zealand, and what do they sound like? Um,
I think rednecks are everywhere, right? They're just kind of, they seem to find their way everywhere.
where there's meth
Sorry.
and Marlboros, we're there. um,
Fucking Mountain Dew, man.
yeah, Mountain Dew, menthol, and meth. and if we're hungry, some hot pockets. um, it's interesting to see the motivation of the characters in this movie, and they're doing it simply to become rich and famous. And as we know by history, 1979 is really the beginning of the tail end of porno chic, and we're beginning to get into the area of videotape. So, actually, they'd probably be millionaires because it didn't seem like the mob was involved with this movie at all. It was just a bunch of a film student, his girlfriend, setting out to make the best porno ever. And then when his
I
girlfriend,
loved that character. But go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
oh yeah, he basically he's one of us. He's this guy who
Yeah,
loves film so much, and he gets the opportunity to write an adult film that he thinks is going to propel him to the next level. And to be honest, and I hope someone out there can correct me if I'm wrong, that the most successful person who's done that was the guy who, I can't remember his name now, Abel Ferrar, who went on to direct The Driller Killer and Addiction and his version of Invasion of the Body Snatchers. And I mean, he's one of the greatest filmmakers out there. But he started out with porn and with Nine Lives as a Wet Pussy. But I mean, back then the stigma was still there. If you were in that industry, you were in that industry, and very few people made it out to mainstream success at that point.
sure. Yeah, I was watching an interview with Ty West, and he said one of the reasons he wanted to put it in '79 was so that they could kind of make it around that time, you know, when videotape and stuff like that was really starting to become a thing, and how realistic that idea was for that time. Was like, hey, we'll put it on tape and have a good shot of, you know, making our way into a lot of people's homes.
But they were using film for this one to shoot their movie.
Sure, but it isn't there a small line whenever they're in the gas station towards the beginning of the movie where they actually mention videotape, like cassette tapes?
In 1979, videotape VHS was still cost prohibitive. I mean, a player that back then would probably be around $700, $800, $1,000. I mean, it was like that. Yeah, I mean, my family didn't get one until the mid '80s, and then it was still a big deal. But
Sure.
no, I don't know. And all right, I think Ty West, I didn't hear the interview, but I think he was right to send this period because it was the in between period, as film was diminishing and home video was just around the corner. And if we look at that scene in Boogie Nights, where the New Year's Eve party for the 1980s is when the other producer came in to talk to Burt Reynolds and the Colonel about going to videotape and keeping costs down that way.
Sure. Yeah.
So I think in this one, the only other movie I noticed them reference was W Does Dallas. Was that kind of the biggest one up to that point? Kind of the most successful one? No? Or was it just because it was Texas themed?
Texas themed, yeah, but shot in New York, much like all the W Does Dallas movies, except for the later ones. But I think the most successful ones still are Behind the Green Door and Deep Throat, because those were and Boys in the Sand. Those were the three big porno chic, and Debbie Does Dallas came years later. And it's not a very good movie, by the way. Not a good movie. Debbie Does Dallas 2 from Vinegar Syndrome is the best of the three.
Nice.
I haven't popped mine in yet, actually.
Pop it in, pop it out. Boom.
Pop it in.
So
What's happening?
we are. This episode is certainly not for kids. I'm going to say
We tell them that now.
I'm going to give you my theory on the movie X before we get into talking about the actors and direction and some of the choices. All right. I think X is Ty West's explanation for whatever happened to Bat Pussy. Why we never heard from the crew and stars of that movie ever again. I'm sure they filmed it in an apartment complex owned by a crazy old person who was a Batman fanatic and saw this travesty going down and killed everybody. The police found the footage and they realized, we could make some money off of this. We just turn it into a different production. No one needs to know how the movie ends, even though only an hour and 20 minutes of it was filmed. We'll release it, and we will hide all evidence of the murder.
Sounds like it fits.
Yeah, I have. By golly, you're right, Robert.
It's the best explanation of how no one has been able to find who was behind that movie and who starred in that movie.
Was that a Vinegar Syndrome one?
It was AGFA, which means when
AGFA.
the eventual longer re-release of it comes out, everyone will be able to witness the horror of that movie, but they'll get a slipcover. They will get a slipcover.
Are you going to rebuy it?
I don't think so.
No? Okay.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at the at its letterbox, and it literally just has the names of the characters in the movie, like not who's playing them or anything.
Now, how Ty West revised history is he had a much more attractive cast than everyone who died during the filming of Bat Pussy. Look, I'm going to bet that when people watch this episode, they are going to go, you know what? Robert has the best explanation for it. I now need to go see X. All right. Let's talk about Mia Goth. She was phenomenal in this movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I wasn't really all that I've only seen her in let's see, Cure for Wellness, and I think she was in something else. Oh yeah, she was wasn't she in the remake of Suspiria?
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and she was in Emma.
Haven't seen
And
Emma.
a bunch of other things I've never seen. Oh, Nymphomaniac Part 2. But she's one of those actresses.
Holy shit. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Didn't even think about that. Nice.
She's one of those actresses who also looks very different every time she's in something.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's a chameleon. Like when I'm watching the movie, when I'm watching X, I had to pull out my phone and go, who is she? And then Suspiria, I'm like, I don't remember her. Then I had to go look at her pictures. I'm like, oh yeah, she looks really different. And in this movie, I mean, they dyed her hair black and they, put a little more emphasis on the freckles and all that. But it must have been so difficult not carrying a movie, but also being one of the playing two lead roles in a movie.
Right.
Which even Tilda Swinton, while she played 3 roles in Suspiria, 2 of those roles were more minor than the Doctor. But Pearl and
Sure.
I can't remember what her name was. Her actual name was
Maxine.
Maxine.
Mm-hmm.
They had pretty much equal footing in the movie, also sharing a few scenes together. including the pretty wild final fight.
Yeah. Yeah, they, we were talking about the prosthetics earlier, and thought it was fair to mention too, just to give her credit where it's due. Ty West was explaining about all those, all the time it took to get her into those, and he said basically Mia Goth, was getting up with the effects crew at around 3 a.m, spending about 6 hours getting all the prosthetics done, and then starting like the 10 to 12 hour, shoot for the day. So she said she definitely had a lot on her plate.
That she did. But what also was good, I mean, this was a top-notch cast. You had Jenna Ortega as Lorraine, Brittany Snow as Bobby Lynn, Kid Cudi as Jackson, and Martin Henderson, who I never really heard of before this movie, and it's Wayne, and Owen Campbell is RJ. Everyone was stellar in their individual roles. You got to know each character's motivation, and I mean, that's great writing right there. Is where, I mean, they're all going to die, but you kind of build sympathy for them along the way. That none of these characters had great lives, and I would say out of all of them, Kid Cudi probably had the best life, and he was the only one that didn't feel as damaged as the others.
Right. Yeah. And I was actually really surprised like halfway through the movie, I recognized that was Kid Cudi. And I was like kind of blown away, because I don't know if he's been in any movies or not, but he didn't have a lot of lines up to that point, but I mean, to me, he was super believable as the character.
Yeah, he did a great job. I'm with you. If he has been in anything before, I haven't seen it, and I was super shocked. Yeah.
He was in, well, hold on. Those are all the things he's performed in musically. Well, what has he been in? As an actor, X and Don't Look Up.
Oh, nice. I haven't watched that yet.
Oh, and Bill and Ted faced the music as himself, and an episode of Westworld. And the TV show Creep Show. He's been in a lot of shit.
Okay. All right. I've seen Don't Look Up. I just can't place what character he was in that. There's also a lot of people in that movie, so
So this movie also helped me get over my hatred of Martin Henderson. I dated this girl kind of just coming out of high school, and she worked at a movie theater, so we got to go to movies free all the time. And one summer we went and saw this movie called Torque. And he's just like a motorcycle racer, kind of like Fast and Furious, but motorcycle version. And he was just the biggest douchebag of all time. And I have hated him ever since. And I would see him like in small roles in movies. I think he was in like Fly Boys and some other random stuff. And I always just hated him. Then I saw him in this, and I was like, still kind of douchey, but.
Oh, out of everyone, he was the worst person in this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, no, it was obvious he didn't give a rat's ass about anybody except for making money. Otherwise, he would not have allowed the director's girlfriend to be in it. And
oh God, that whole scene. I felt so. That was a really impactful scene. That may be my favorite segment in the movie.
Yeah, he was the first cuckold. And if he didn't die, he would have gone on to cuckold porn.
Dude, I love all of the attention to detail, like in building her character up to that moment, though. They all call her church mouse. She doesn't talk much. Anywhere from there to, she's operating the boom mic for the most part and everything. And you see her character becoming more interested in what they're doing. And I guess I'll just go there and say it, like, kind of turned on by it, a lot of her facial expressions and things of that nature. Mm-hmm. And then when they're sitting in that room and she decides to tell, everyone, like, I want to be in the movie, after they've had this really long discussion about what has brought them to the point where they're comfortable doing this and all this other good stuff. And of course, that's her boyfriend. Is it RJ? Was that his character's name?
It
I
was
can never
RJ or
always feel.
AJ. It was RJ or AJ. Hold on.
RJ, yeah.
Yes, his reaction, because there's like that, I was speaking of, whenever they're playing landslide, and there's that whole little cool shot stuff going on there, and then it just abruptly ends, and she's like, I want to do a shot in the movie. It's like this hard long pause, and he's just like, what? But yeah, what it was, another little attention to detail that I thought was great was whenever she does end up doing the scene, and she's got on her underwear and it says Sunday on it. It's just like, this is just, I don't know, everything down to the T was perfect about who that girl was and where she's at now.
Mhm.
I'm also going to say that her death was the best death in the movie.
Oh yes, absolutely. It's like, I must admit that for whatever reason I kind of sensed it coming, but it still didn't take away from, you know what I mean? It was just, I love when a movie makes ballsy choices, like just so fast, bam, done.
Well, now, Wayne's character, he died with, if I remember correctly, it's been a few weeks since I've seen this. He died with the pins going into his eyes, right? Which was an
Yeah,
homage
he was.
The pitchfork, I think.
Yeah, but in kind of way, that was an homage to Zombie, where you had the.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because he was helping Jenna Ortega find, her boyfriend, because he's left in the middle of the night, and after she's been fucking the crew.
Well, all you have to say is, I'm just going to point out this: good for Kid Cudi. I can see why she wanted to go from the boom mic to his boom mic. Good for him. Good for him. Man, it's okay to do nudity.
Yeah.
And he's a good actor. Good for him. I can't hate him for being multi-talented now. But no, I mean, again, I'm kind of lost my train of thought now that we were talking about Kid Cudi's privates.
See, he wins again.
He wins again. But I'm going to say her character was the best misdirect of the movie, because when they were calling her church mouse all the time, and then the revelation about Mia Goth's first character was that she's the church mouse, that she was raised in this horrible religious family, and which gave us the reason of why she's coked out all the time and is doing what she does to not only escape her family but get revenge on them, because I bet you she was treated horribly by them as well.
Right. Yeah, I thought that was a pretty interesting take too, and it's, when it first happened, I just thought, oh, that's just kind of like a throwaway little like twist at the end, like, oh, it's the preacher's daughter the whole time that's in the movie. But like afterwards, thinking about it, I do see the comparison between those two, and even between Pearl, because she kept like throwing lines out like, I know who you are, like I know what you are, and I think it was more than just like, I know you're here shooting a porno. I think it was more like, I know like what you come from kind of deal.
That could be it. I mean, that could be why that she was drawn to her.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she kept on saying she had something special.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But
She did say one line between Pearl and Maxine. I was actually discussing with a friend, and I was curious what you guys thought. So at one point, Pearl looks at Maxine and says, I know what you did in the barn, or I seen you in the barn, or something like that. Is that deeper than just I watched you during your scene? I mean,
she watched them make their scene.
so that was it. Okay, I didn't know, because they clearly lock eyes for a minute, and it just made me think, like, I don't know, is there something deeper to that? Or
I mean, I think the biggest revelation could be is that her family and that family are one and the same.
sure.
Because it's leading up that there is going to be a third film. There has to be. because at some point the cops found the footage. They're going to develop the footage, and all of a sudden that gets the preacher, her father, and his congregation into it. So,
Right.
Oh, okay. Well,
is there a bigger world here than the one we were shown?
I'd be all in on that.
It
does. I mean, the way they left it, it's obvious like something's going to come afterwards, and they gave us the hint that something's coming beforehand. So
well,
it seems like they've at least got those 3 planned.
I think Pearl's coming out this year, isn't it?
yeah, to my knowledge.
So I mean, if A24 has, they could have this entire trilogy done in a year and a half. So my next question for you guys is A24 the new Blumhouse?
I don't know.
In what way are you drawing a comparison?
Because A24's output is becoming more and more, and right now they are releasing some of the most interesting films out there. Interesting genre films. While Blumhouse has just become derivative. So,
I would agree. Excuse me. I would
yeah.
agree with that. Sorry.
Does Blumhouse only do horror?
yes.
Okay.
As far
I was
as
going to say, I feel like A24 is I feel like a lot of what I've seen them do so far is horror, but I was surprised to see that when I went to see that Everything Everywhere All at Once. That's what it's called, right?
Yeah.
Everything Everywhere. I was surprised to see that was an A24 movie, and it's not a horror movie. So
but it's still genre cinema.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It's sci-fi kung fu.
It's so good.
I definitely tend to gravitate more towards the horror movies that A24 puts out than a lot of their other content. Now, granted, I've seen plenty more that I like. I just don't keep up with them as much, and I guess that makes sense. I mean, I'm a horror guy. That's what I'm into. But as far as those go, the only one that I can think of that I've been disappointed in was Lamb, which calling that a horror movie is kind of a stretch as far as I'm concerned, but it was certainly marketed as one. I don't know if you guys watched that movie or not, but it's that one, to harken back to our conversations about being pretentious, that was a pretentious fucking movie, and no one will ever be able to convince me that there is any sense or logic in that film.
I've
got to watch it now.
So I'm not going to. Lamb doesn't interest me. So
yeah.
when we discussed talking about X, we also decided to talk about what 1979 classic erotica film would you pair with The Farmer's Daughters? And Matt, you completed a list, an incomplete list, but it's still a list of movies released in 1979, which we have Dracula Sucks, Taxi Girls, Frat House, Malambia, which I don't consider that a porno.
I just grabbed all the ones that said hardcore. I don't know.
the Pink Ladies, Miss Magnificent, Her Name Was Lisa, Velvet High, Sunny, More Than Sisters, Candy Goes to Hollywood, Star Version, Starship Arrows, Hot Legs, California Gigolo, Come Under My Spell, Lady Dynamite, the Carlos Tobalina film, Three Ripening Cherries. Is that Sensual Fire?
It is.
Tropic of Desire and Fantasy World.
I've only seen a handful of those movies, and I was able to squeeze one in today. Now, the one that I watched today was Miss Magnificent. I had actually just purchased that during the Valentine's Vinegar Syndrome sale, and I was like, perfect. Thanks to Matt's list. Thank you for that, by the way. That was really nice. I was like, that'll give me a reason to watch it. I certainly couldn't couldn't pair it with X.
No, not with X.
But it was a damn good movie.
Not with X. Actually, pair with X. Yeah. All right. Yeah, we could do that. No, it would.
Oh
that would
wait,
be-
I'm sorry. You wanted to do like pair with Farmer's Daughter.
Well, you know what?
Right.
Actually, that's a better way because Farmer's Daughter, much like Bat Pussy, is an incomplete movie, and I don't know if Bat Pussy is incomplete. It just made me feel incomplete after watching it on so many different levels. But you know what? You're watching X, and you're like, hey, Vinegar Syndrome has released a lot of good classic erotica from 1979, so let's figure one to watch with X. So you would not recommend Miss Magnificent?
Oh, I would recommend the movie. I mean, it's a great movie. I don't know how well it would pair with X, but it's also kind of a complicated question. Just to take up a few seconds of your time, food for thought. One of the cool things about X, though, underneath the surface of it all, is I really like that they chose to make a movie about making a movie. And I think it really gets you can kind of appreciate what these people had to go through in order to create a film like that, So I guess in that way you could just throw on any kind of old porno, right? And be like, huh.
No, I think it has to match the intensity of X. And I only say two of the movies on here would do that, of the ones I've seen. One would be Fantasy World by Bob Chin, and the other would be Roger Watkins' Her Name Was Lisa.
Okay.
Not familiar with either of those.
Just if you want to see someone having sex while wearing a C-3PO mask, pretending to be a robot, Starship Eros, then that one.
Starship Eros is awesome. That was one of the first adult titles I bought. I was like, I'm in. I am in.
But yeah, I saw Fantasy World back when it was on Vinegar Syndrome's long lamented, no longer in existent exploitation TV. And the movie is so weird. It would be like if David Lynch directed a porno, this would be it. Basically, you have
which one? I'm sorry.
Fantasy World.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a weird movie. Just people enter a club, and all of a sudden they become part of the stage show with a very, very weird master of ceremonies. It's just a weird, wonderful movie. That said, I want to guys bring this up as well. So, yesterday, for the first time, a streaming movie prevented me from buying the disc. Like, I went to buy the new Scream, and as I held it in my hand, I'm like, you know what? This is going to be on Paramount Plus until the end of time. Why do I need to buy this? It's not like the special features were great. And the only reason to buy it is I've owned every other Scream movie on physical media. And now I'm like, do I need this? Have you guys encountered that yet?
With bigger titles, yeah. Like with a title like Scream 5 or something. Yeah, that definitely. Basically what I do is I'm like, okay, I could get this now, or I could easily get it later on down the road. I don't really have any kind of fear of it going anywhere. And if I do end up missing out, as you said, it is available on streaming. So yeah, I've been there.
Yeah. I'd say the most recent one, kind of going both ways. Dune, the new Dune, is on HBO, and I bought the 4K. So I feel kind of like a movie like that. Streaming is getting to the point where the quality is comparable, but it's not, physical 4K quality yet. So I feel like a movie like that, it's still good to get that physical, the physical disc to really experience it that way. But going the other way, the new Matrix movie, I watched it on HBO, and I was just kind of like, that's enough. HBO is enough for that one. And that's a movie that had it not been on HBO, I would have went and bought it day one, probably, if I didn't already see it in the theaters.
And that's how that was for me up until recently. Is even if I saw it in the theater and I liked it, I would buy it. And I didn't see Scream 5 in the theater.
Right.
I saw it when our friend Brian posted in the group, hey, it's on Paramount Plus. I'm like, sweet, I know what I'm doing tonight.
Mm-hmm.
and I still had every plan to buy it when it came out. But when I held it in my hand, I'm like, I don't really need to spend the $15 or the $17 on this.
Yeah.
I don't need to. I don't need to own this.
So I guess go ahead.
No. You go right ahead because mine was
Oh,
going to kind of be a little bit of a switch off. So
is mine. But I'll go. All right.
yeah, go.
So do you think something like that kind of hurts a company? And I'm just asking because what is it? Scream Factory just announced their streaming service. Do you think that's going to impact them negatively? Like, are people going to? I mean, there's not a lot of great movies that they release. So
Scream Factory or Shout Factory already has a streaming service. If their new horror one is not subscription and it's comparable to the Shout Factory one, that won't stop me from buying stuff. Or neither will Kino Cult, because we're talking about just a bunch of older titles that that have not been that have been languishing out there. So my big test will be the Batman, because the Batman debuts on HBO Max a week from Tuesday. The physical media is a couple months down the line. Will that make me go, maybe I don't need to own the Batman?
right. I think that's one that I'll probably still end up getting.
I mean, I did buy Justice League the Snyder Cut.
Mm-hmm.
Only because at one point my HBO Max was hacked, and the hacker was watching that as well as I was. So every time I went to watch it again, it would be in a different spot, and that's when I realized my account was being hacked.
Oh.
So,
What were you going to say, Brian?
Yeah, okay, I got this. I thought I had lost it. I'm getting to be that age now. No, I was just going to ask on Scream 5, with Jenna Ortega being in that as well. Do you think she's on her way to becoming like a Scream queen? Do you think she's going to keep going with these horror roles?
Oh, who was she in Scream 5?
Wasn't she in that opening scene?
I'd have to go back and watch, because I saw Scream before X, and I don't know who. I thought X was the first movie I saw Jenna Ortega in.
Well, I'm gonna feel dumb if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty positive.
You know what?
It
was her.
says she was in it.
Yeah.
Wow, she was only born in 2002.
God, that's creepy.
She was also in.
I don't know if creepy is the
She
word.
was also in. She was also in Studio 666.
Oh, is that Foo Fighters?
Yeah.
Maybe.
The
I still haven't
Babysitter
watched
Killer
that.
Queen.
Babysitter was awesome.
She was on 10 episodes of You. On 30 episodes of Jane the Virgin as young Jane. And a lot of kid stuff. She was on the Richie Rich TV series. By the way,
What?
did you know there was a Richie Rich TV series?
And that is the scariest thing I've heard of. So yeah, she's definitely Scream Queen material.
And she was in Iron Man 3 as the vice president's daughter.
Okay.
Yeah. And she was on the show Rob with the other Rob Schneider. which was her debut role as a character just known as Girl. Look, as an
Rob,
actor,
the other Rob Schneider doesn't like anyone to get recognition on his sets.
you're gonna play girl. You're gonna play younger girl. You're gonna play old woman. If I say your name is Maggie, your name's Maggie. Just go with it.
I did want to mention a film to you guys in case you haven't seen it or if you're interested. So Owen Campbell from X, he was also in a really good movie called Super Dark Times. It's a great film. I would highly recommend it. It kind of pairs well just to like give you like a tone with something like Mean Creek probably, or Bully, something along those lines would be good to watch with it.
Bully. I haven't seen that movie in forever.
It's a great movie.
All right, guys. Before we wrap up this week, we have not talked about what movie we're going to watch next week.
We haven't.
That is true.
Do you have any thoughts?
I would like to throw out a suggestion. I would love to throw out a movie that I think we all own, and it's a fairly recent one.
We need a drum roll sound effect inserted here.
Hold on, I'm just going to
Do the one like at a Christmas Vacation.
I think we should talk about Wolfpack.
Oh,
Okay.
yes, please.
Perfect.
We're going to talk about Wolfpack on next week's episode. And
Robert, where can I ask where you're originally from?
Detroit.
Detroit, okay, because you do have that Michigan accent there where you're saying woof.
The other day, someone said I pronounced Chipotle wrong.
Wait, say it again.
Is that how you said it?
Chipotle? Look, yes, I
Nice.
make everything sound fancier than it really is. All right. Before we go, I just want to ask any good movies that you guys watched this week that you can recommend to our audience.
Yeah, I just I'm not gonna remember the name of it again. I get it wrong every time I say it, but I think it was Everything Everywhere All at Once. Saw that yesterday, really good. And I watched Heathers last night for the first time in a long time. I'm not sure how I felt about it this time.
I haven't seen
Really?
it recently, but
Yeah.
greetings and salutations.
Yeah.
Teenage suicide. Don't
Yep.
do it.
Yep. I think that's
Well-
about it that I've seen.
I'll I guess I'll recommend Ambulance. As much as one can. Truthfully though, like we were kind of talking a little bit last night, I had so much fun with it, and there's not much to say about it. It's fucking Michael Bay and an ambulance, and Jake Gyllenhaal, completely just unhinged Jake Gyllenhaal, and it was nice to just tune out for a couple hours and just watch a bunch of shit blow up. And it was fun.
Is unhinged Jake Gyllenhaal the next iteration of Nick Cage?
Please don't ruin this for me.
I'm just asking. I want to see Ambulance. The premise is interesting, and I didn't know it was a Michael Bay movie until until one of you told me it was a Michael Bay movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
But,
it is. In all its
All right.
glory.
So I'm just going to say now the new episodes of Grindhouse Chic are going to be up every Monday by 9 p.m. unless otherwise noted. We'll be back here next Monday with another new episode where we will talk about...
Hey, wait. We haven't rated the movie.
Shit. We didn't rate X yet.
What are we
Yeah.
doing here?
All right.
What are we doing?
All right.
Holy smokes.
How many killer geriatric couples will you give this movie?
Nice.
Oh, let me rephrase it. How many homicidal geriatric couples will you give this movie?
Matt, you want to start?
Yeah, I'll go. I think my rating is going to be a little more elevated than it would have been. I went into this, I don't know how you guys were going in this movie, but this is not where I expected this movie to go. So I really enjoyed the little twist there. And
what twist?
When the grandma's just got to start banging people. Were you expecting that from the start?
All right, I knew walking in that it was killer old people.
Okay.
I didn't think it was. I think the twist was that Mia Goth's character, one of her characters, was the daughter of the preacher we saw endlessly on TV. But
that was also a twist.
I didn't think this movie had any real twist to it, like in Fight Club. Oh, Brad Pitt's just an imaginary version of you, Edward Norton. That's
right. Well, to me, I felt like there was a twist when, the first guy goes out, RJ, and the old lady standing there and starts to come on to him, and I'm like, whoa, what's going on? And then I thought the creepiest part of the movie is when she leans in and she starts to like pull her shirt off, and she's like, let me show you what I'm capable of. And I was like, whoa, is this lady like a super freak, and then she just starts stabbing. So that to me was a twist that I wasn't expecting. But yeah, with that, the characters I thought were awesome. The only thing that takes the score down a little bit for me, which we didn't touch on that much, is I wasn't a huge fan of the kills.
You know what? Some of the kills were better than others and needed to be more thought out than others.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go 3 out of 5 homicidal old killer couples.
Homicidal geriatric couples.
Yes.
Which is also a great band name. All right, Brian, what about you?
I mean, no shocker with as much as I've been talking this one up. I enjoyed it just as much on a second watch. I am going 5. To me, this one just has everything that I want in these movies. You know, it's scary, it's sexy, it's sleazy, it's funny, and I just had a fantastic time. It's kind of, I almost hate phrasing it like this because I don't want it to come across as like, wow, he's really jumping the gun or something. But when that movie was over, I was instantly left with the feeling of like, huh, there you are. I've been looking for you. Welcome, welcome to my life. Welcome to my list of favorite films. And hands down, this is the one, at least horror wise, to top for me this year. And I think it set the bar extremely high. So yeah, all the way, all in 5.
Nice.
I am going to go with a 4. Because the movie did have really good acting in it. I'll go with 4 because of the direction and art direction. I mean, they made this feel like rural Texas 1979, even though I was never in Texas in 1979. What brings it down for me, there were lots of plot holes that they tried filling in with the trailer for this next movie. And it also, this movie felt like the first chapter, so you didn't get the closure you really wanted from it. You ended with the main character basically on the run. And I hope Ty West doesn't, when the third movie comes out, if there is a third movie, that it's not about her being pursued as the person who did all this.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Ty West is a much smarter filmmaker than that. So I'm really interested in seeing where this story goes. But my concern is that there's not a whole lot of audience to see where this story goes. Because this
Right.
was
No, go ahead.
as you said, it's a pretty niche film. And hopefully whenever it gets on streaming, it'll find an audience that way.
Yeah, I was really hoping that word of mouth would really elevate this one, boost it for theater sales, because this is, in my opinion, also a really good movie to watch with other people, to get to see their reactions and stuff, because it's not really a lot that you're used to seeing in bigger films these days, I don't think. There's a lot of shocking, jarring moments in here, albeit some of them are a little silly, but they're still, it's a crowd pleasing movie. I was really hoping that more people would go out and watch it, but I mean, it only lasted in theaters like what, maybe a month? Has it even been?
Well, a month is pretty good. But when I saw it, there were 6 people in the audience.
Yeah.
There were 2 couples and 2 individuals. And
Yeah, same. But I mean,
one of the couples walked halfway through the movie.
Yeah, it's it was a small crowd both times for me. It was about the same. I would say at most 10 people on either viewing.
Matt,
and that's probably on the high end.
Matt, you said you saw it like a theater that served food.
No, this one didn't.
Okay.
I did.
Oh, so there was only 10 people there that night for you.
It was the last showing in town. It was the only theater playing it, and it was just one of those with like the leather reclining, like electric reclining seats, and you order your meal and stuff from in there. was kind of surprised that was the one that was showing it still, but it was an afternoon show, so that definitely had something to do with it. But when we watched the opening night that evening, I mean, there was still, like I said, maybe 7-8 people.
See, that's like when I saw Batman, it was a packed audience. When I saw Spider-Man: No Way Home, packed audience. I remember going as a kid to see Nightmare on Elm Street 4, whatever one the Dream Warrior was. We went with a bunch of people from work and went to see like the 11 o'clock showing at a movie theater long gone in Southfield, Michigan called the Americana. And that was just packed. And anytime I see a horror movie in the theater, the audience has never been as packed as it was in that show. Now, I'm not including revival showings like of Halloween or Friday the 13th that are always packed. But newer horror movies I have not seen with that kind of audience.
The last one that I seen that was, I mean, it was sold out actually, but it was also a limited run was Three from Hell. That was a packed theater for that one. That's kind of sad to think about. That is the last horror movie that I've gone to that's been like,
and that's a bad,
I was about to say it's not
it just felt like Rob Zombie did that. He tried to make something before Sid Haig died, and Sid Haig could barely be in it.
Yeah, I mean, when it first came out, I think I kind of wanted to like it more than it was worth. I don't hate the movie. It's just, it's really goofy. I don't know.
Can I
silly.
admit, I'm going to end this show with looking really stupid, so I'm going to admit something to you. I did not realize until watching this past Halloween, watching all three of them, that they took place in the 70s.
Oh, really?
I had no idea. Idea.
That's okay. You don't look silly.
I feel
you look beautiful, Robert.
And on that note, Brian Baldwin called me beautiful. We'll be back next Monday with another episode where we'll be talking about Wolfpack. If you would like to see us discuss any movies, please comment below. Subscribe. We need subscribers. We want to get monetized at some point. Brian needs a new pair of glasses.
I do, actually.
I do too.
Help me.
And again, if we get 500 subscribers, I will sing the song live on YouTube from Champagne and Bullets. I know all of you want to see that. So
if that doesn't do it, I don't know what will.
All right. We will see you next week.